The sky was burning. The clouds red with twisted fire. Lightning moving across them. And they descended upon everything. Like a furious battle between God and Satan, good and evil. Like a fire vortex.
Good evening, Rocket League fans. We are back with another SGL playoffs and consolidation bracket doubleheader. I am Rydog of Timber's Army, and joining me here in the booth, of course, we've got Maz running the scenes running everything behind the scenes. But with me, I've got Mr. Luis of El Matador. Luis, how we doing?
Yeah, what's good, Rydog? Happy to be here, as always. Feels like we're doing this every night now, so good to be back. And yeah, let's get ready for some postseason SGL action.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So we've got, like you can see on the screen, two matches for you tonight. We've got Locals versus the Rebellion in a lower round match that we'll talk about in a little bit. But first, we're gonna start with Steel Army versus Los Verdes there in the consolidation bracket. So two really good matches for you tonight. And like Luis, man, I'm excited to bring it to you guys. So let's. What is going on? Like, we're in this postseason. You were talking about it. We've got two different playoff brackets happening. Let's deep dive in. Let's start with the SGL playoff bracket, which is actually going to be our second match. It's going to be the Locals and Rebellion. I need to do this, so I'm actually looking at the right screen here. But so this is the top 6 teams that finished the regular season in SGL are playing in this playoff system. And Luis, kind of talk me through the bracket and maybe some storylines that you've loved to follow.
Yeah, when we were last on stream, we had the pleasure of watching Black Army versus ECRC. That series went 6 games. Black Army taking it 4-2. They played a tremendous series after going down 2-0, and so they showed tremendous steel to fight back in that series. And tonight's second match will get to know who they play next, and that's going to be the Locals versus the Rebellion. But yeah, the bracket is shaping up nicely. EM versus TA will happen here in about a week's time for that upper final. And so yeah, looking forward to finding out, Rydog, who Black Army will play next. And honestly, we're talking a little bit before stream. I have no idea in terms of a prediction for that match. So I think it's going to be a very, very exciting series.
Absolutely, and I think the key part in this as well of whoever wins that match tonight, like you mentioned, will play Black Army in that losers round 2. But the loser goes home. And if you can't really tell from the picture super clearly, but we have both of the top seeds in that lower round. Of course, we did see Black Army and ECRC face off on Sunday. Of course, Black Army taking that and knocking out the #1 seed. So can Rebellion also pull off the upset against the #2 seed? I guess we will find that out a little bit later. And yeah, we will talk a little bit more about that series a little bit later. But Luis, let's get to the match that we're gonna start with here. It's gonna be Steel Army versus Los Verdes in the Consolation tournament. We call it the SGL NIT. I think that's a phrase that you coined, and I absolutely love that. So let's bring up that bracket and what that looks like. Or I guess it's not really a bracket; it's just a table. But Luis, you want to talk us through kind of what that looks like?
Yeah, so the first matchup tonight, folks, the Steel Army versus Los Verdes series, like you mentioned, right, will be taking place in the NIT version of our postseason action here in SGL Season 8. And as you see right now, the standings show Steel Army, one of the teams we'll be seeing tonight, or one of the two teams rather, is in first place with 5 points. They have played 2 games, and so there are 2 teams that have not matched their matches played. Therefore, some of these numbers might not look, on the same page. But the other team on the other side of the bracket is Los Verdes. They are sitting there at the bottom, only 1 point in hand. And so this is almost already a must-win game for them. They've played 2 matches. This will be their third out of, 4 or 5 matches, if my math is mathin'. And so they need points, and I think if I did the math correctly, they basically have to win out if they want any chance at taking one of the 2 top spots, which will include a 7-game series to determine who ends up winning this Consolation tournament. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now, Rydog. Must-win game for Los Verdes. Not really a must-win game for Steel Army, but again, every point does matter, and I think if you're Steel Army, 4 points here is going to put you in a really good spot to claim one of those top 2 spots.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a little bit too far in advance to kind of go over if this team does this, then this happens, and all that sort of stuff. Of course, like you mentioned, 3 of the teams, as you can see there, have only played 2 matches, and of course, Emerald City Blue and KC Cauldron have only played 1. So the tree of possibilities would be just a little bit too much for right now. But yeah, I agree. Los Verdes definitely need the 4 points here to kind of put them back in contention. But I think it's big for Steel Army too, just because, like you mentioned, like just propelling them forward, taking the games and taking the series that they need to against, theoretically, as we see in this bracket, the lower of the 2 teams. So it's going to be super important. And yes, like you said, the top 2 do go to a best of 7 for the Consolation Tournament champion. So pretty exciting there as well. Let's keep diving into this one, Luis. Talk to me for both of these teams. What's the key to success? How is Steel Army going to win this game, and how is LV going to win this game?
Yeah, I think for Steel Army, the math is a little more straightforward here. They need to score more goals, and they have the better players to do so. So for Steel Army, they're expected to win this game. It would be a shocker, I think, for most people to say that, Steel Army is not the favorite here. So they're the better team, the better players, the better chemistry. They've been playing in SGL for multiple seasons, and so for them, just play their ball, and they'll get a pretty convincing series win. But on the other side, I mean, listen, LV, they, it's no news that they haven't won a series since week 1 of this entire season, and so for them, hasn't been the brightest season, but there have been some bright notes, and if they want to win this series, Palace David is going to have to pop off for him. He is clearly their best player, and depending on who else is in the lineup, it's just basically going to come down to how well they support him. And so if Los Verdes is to win this series, Dave is going to have to put up some LeBron 2016 type numbers. And then, yeah, Steel Army, just play your game, and, you're favored in this matchup by a pretty wide margin. And so that's kind of the analysis that I see going into this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to echo, especially for Steel Army side, just kind of pulling up the Consolation Tournament stats that we now have available, which is super awesome. Debit has really been the standout player for Steel Army, of course. I love that as he is my accounting brother. But just looking at the stats, 460 points per game. He leads the or I guess this is of the two teams rather. He has the most goals out of these two teams. He's got the most assists out of these two teams, the most saves. So he's the one putting up the stats. So he's going to be my player to look out for Steel Army. And I absolutely agree with you, especially on the Los Verdes side. That Palace definitely has to step up. We're gonna need to see some LeBron type numbers for them to take games and hopefully, go as far as to win this series. And I think we've said this a lot about LV over the course of their time in SGL, at least the seasons that I've been a part of. They have a lot of good pieces. They just need to put it together. Would you think that that's an accurate statement, Luis?
It's a polite way of putting it. I think it's no secret that they are one of, in terms of skill, one of the inferior teams in the league. And it's always tough to come on broadcast and say that about a team who has some of the most lovely folks that we do have in our in our league. But yeah, I think if we want to be more charitable, I think that they've added some really good pieces in Trigga. I think Trigga's been a standout mid-season performer for them. I think that with him in the lineup, depending on whether or not Devin can play, I think a lineup of Devin, Trigga, and Palace is a significantly better lineup than we've seen Los Verdes in the past. So, yeah, I think they have better pieces, especially since the midway mark. Them honestly, it might not show in terms of the results, but in terms of the gameplay, I think Trigga's been really good. So I want to highlight him. I think he's been a significant improvement to this Los Verdes side.
Absolutely, yeah, and just wanted to shout out to Devin, who is a player that we've talked about over the course of our SGL streams as well, of coming in and really supporting Palace as a second man there. He's been balling for them. He might only have 4 games to his name, but he's leading in points per game for the Consolation tournament at 525. So Mans is putting up numbers. And of course, we're hoping that those numbers can turn into goals and assists and saves for his team. But then, of course, translating that into wins. Well, Luis, we're almost at kickoff, so we are just about a minute away from starting this game and getting this series rolling. And just for the viewers at home as well, right after this match, do not go anywhere. We're gonna have our main card, as we call it, is gonna be Locals and Rebellion. So stay tuned throughout the stream. Or as a wise man once said, don't go anywhere, don't go anywhere. So super stoked for that. Let's maybe talk about that just a little bit as we wait for the teams to join the lobby here. You said it earlier on broadcast, that match in Locals and Rebellion is going to be super tough to call. Can you think of an edge that a team might have to maybe sway your vote a little bit?
Yeah, I mentioned just in chat. I honestly, with the Locals Rebellion series, I can see both teams winning. I think knowing that the Rebellion are going to have their strongest lineup, knowing that the Locals have been on a bit of rough form. I think they've lost 2 consecutive series, regular season ender and playoffs included. So, yeah, I could see both teams winning. I think. You would think that the Locals would be favored, and I think they probably are favored by the majority of people. But the Rebellion, I think, in their 1 loss in the playoffs, played better than the Locals did in their 1 loss, and so, yeah, I hate to be a fence-sitting centrist on this matchup, but I really just have no idea, and so. Yeah, how are you feeling about that series, right, Dog?
I don't think anybody can blame you, especially with how these teams have been playing. Of course, Locals are kind of on a downward trend in a way of the last week of the regular season getting swept by Black Army. Of course, fortunately at that point they'd already qualified for this 2 seed and got that first round bye in the upper bracket. And so but since then it's just been off. Of course, they ended up losing to my team in Timbers Army in that winners round 2 match. So you have that kind of downward trend, but then of course on the other side you have a Rebellion who have been playing well. They're consistent in the sense of just their play in a way. It's just super annoying to play against because you have a guy like Triple C's who's just gonna run over and just try and demo you constantly and all this stuff. So yeah, I'm also kind of a fence sitter for that. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna give locals maybe the slight edge. But I really think it comes down to how each team plays, which I know is going to sound really stupid on stream, but it really comes down to, can Meki Ducky be super offensive and super aggressive? And honestly, for the Rebellion, can they disrupt that? Can they get locals off of their game? Because I think, truthfully, that's what worked for us in Timber's army, was we just threw the locals off their game, and they didn't really know how to adjust in time for us to take the win. So but yeah, guys, get your predictions in chat for this one that we have going on. We've got Steel Army and Los Verdes coming up right now. I see some stuff in chat. Toad Death saying to sweep from Steel Army. That's very bold, but not a bad pick. We've got Arglass given LV the 3-2 win in 5. Wow, interesting. So please get your predictions in chat. We do have actually a prediction. You can bet some channel points. Please bet responsibly and all that good stuff. But we do have our teams in the lobby, so I think we're just about ready to go for this match. Yeah, once again, this match even too on paper might not look like a hard match to call, but if Palace and LV are on their game, it could get a little interesting very quick.
Yeah, and both teams are in the lobby, and they're actually on the field, Ride Dog. So we're getting ready to get this series underway. And yeah, I think it was 51,000 channel points on Steel Army. For those of you that did put the 1 or 2K on LV, your payday is going to be massive in channel points if they can somehow pull this off. But here we go. Steel Army, Los Verdes, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds versus Austin FC. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we get on right on.
And always fun to note as well the relationship for Steel Army, of course, all of those guys being brothers, all 3 of them, and so that's, I think, a really cool story. And of course, on the other side as well, we do have a father-son duo as well. I don't know if we see those guys so far, as Palace is going to hit this one off the crossbar. I'm not sure who the asterisks are. I don't know if that might be Bust Insider, maybe, right? I'm not sure. But
yeah, there was just a recent patch today. We're getting ready for the new season of Rocket League, and maybe Bust Insider 6969 is no longer allowed on the Epic Games servers, which is unfortunate for the lore here in HDL. But we are seeing what a save, by the way, from Palace David there. I was just interrupted because I was going to say we are seeing blue skies for Los Verdes, and I don't think we've seen him all too often this season, and honestly, Bright Dog, I can't remember seeing him one time. Maybe our statistician Maz can help us out there, but good to see blue sky, always good to see new faces, and so far it's looking decent, but Red 4 puts the ball away. A minute 20 played, Steel Army are on the board.
Yeah, the ball really has been in the orange half for quite a while. I think there was one shot from Palace that hit the crossbar, which has been LV's really only chance so far. But other than that, like I said, it's just been in the orange half. So we'll see how LV can respond. Here goes Debit off the left wall. Can he get a touch? It's not the touch that he wanted at the end of the day. And I think it's going to be key for Palace and the rest of LV to try and keep possession and not just throw the ball away, as we see Blue Skies get a really good challenge on Debit to prevent a shot and a goal. But yeah, can they keep the ball? Can they not just throw the ball? Just like this, Palace. Can you limit those options? As Debit's going to paint the upper corner. It's not going to go in, though. Posts are, in fact, broken in this game.
Yeah, and so far, speaking of Toad Death in chat, Blue Sky is rocking one of the newest trendy social media website names. But speaking of him, he's making a brilliant save. And by the way, I think he's been really good. Some really good touches out of him. As we see another save on the goal line from Bust Insider. Yeah, I'm liking Blue Sky so far. He's been pretty good, all things considered.
And our statistician has confirmed this is his first SGL appearance, at least of the season. This is going to be another shot coming in from Red 4 that's thrown away by Palace. But so yeah, I also agree. He's played really, really well so far. So hopefully that can keep up. Of course, LV do need a goal here as we cross halftime in game number 1. This is a best of 5, by the way. And so it'll be first to 3 as Red 4 is going to collect in his own half. And have Palace challenge to play the ball across the other side, but it's looked really clean from Steel Army. They haven't really been threatened all that much, and their offenses look pretty good.
Their offenses looked really good, Rydog, and Bear Blitz almost had a tremendous shot as he does miss the corner boost, but now collects it. Yeah, so far they've been really good, very comfortable, and Rarglass in chat letting us know that is Void Sky. Void Sky, a perennial commenter on the YouTube MLS comment section. Always love seeing him in MLS content on YouTube. He's usually in there with his Austin FC profile pic, so good to see him on the score sheet. But yeah, like you said, Rydog, pretty comfortable so far for Steel Army, but I think I'm just gonna keep talking about Los Verdes here. It's a minute 20 left, and they only down 1 goal in a series and in a game in which, I don't know, Rydog, I think most people would think that they have really no chance.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that they've kept it this close for this long has been really good, just shutting down. There has been 2 or 3 shots that have just gone off the crossbar, gone off the post for Steel Army, and so maybe getting a little lucky on those, but nonetheless, yeah, some of the other saves that they've made have been pretty incredible. As Blue Skies has tried to find Palace, but not going to connect in the end, as that ball's going to actually end up going over Busted Sider's head, as Palace is going to come rescue the day in the end. But this ball is open. Bear Blitz did not get the flip that he wanted. But yeah, they've looked good, apart from the one chance, of course, that they gave up as a goal. It's been kind of a midfield affair. Nothing really super crazy going on, of course, other than those like 2 or 3 ones off the crossbar. But it's looked pretty even so far, as we see a demo here in the last 30 seconds from Blue Skies. It's going to be easily cleared out by Bear Blitz. We really haven't seen too much of Palace, which is a little odd for me. I figured he would, kind of try and control the game, get a lot of boosts, get a lot of demos, try and steal some of the ball so you can do some flippy spinnies, as they say, but I really haven't seen too much of that so far.
Yeah, 15 seconds left here. LV do need a goal, and it's not looking too likely. The ball's just not on the right end for Los Verdes. Palace on low boost here. A good bump comes out, but here we go. A goal has to come now. Void Sky unable to dribble around the defense, and that'll be game 1 to Steel Army in a 1-0 scoreline. Very low scoring. Really didn't expect that coming into the series. And I just want to highlight, I think Palace had a golden opportunity. I think it was with about 40 seconds left. Blue Sky with a tremendous center ball, and Palace double jumps over it, which you really thought a player of his quality would be single jump dodging into a shot there. But all in all, I think that's a tremendous performance from Los Verdes, coming in as arguably the worst team in SGL versus arguably the toughest team in this bracket so far, as we see that they are currently in the number 1 spot. But yeah, decent play. I've been glazing Blue Sky in this broadcast so far, Rydog, but some really good touches, good 50s, a real improvement to this Los Verdes side.
Absolutely, and of course we did get confirmation from chat that Devin cannot make it tonight, so that is going to be a big piece missing for Los Verdes, but I think Blue Skies has done a very well job of maybe not completely filling the shoes that Devin leaves, but definitely playing super well in trying to fill that gap. So we'll see how that bodes over here into game 2 on one of my favorite maps. I know you like Neo Tokyo. I like this one, Forbidden Temple. It's one of my favorites, but yeah, I think it was just weird for me to just see everything so low scoring. I really thought, the offense of Steel Army would just kind of come out in full force, and it would be, maybe like a 4-2, 5-2 kind of game where it kind of gets, run away towards the end. But I guess that's credit to LV for playing their best ball right now and limiting the amount of chances that Steel Army has.
Yeah, and sometimes Rydog, these game 1s are tough to really analyze. It's everybody's getting warmed up. Maybe the nerves are a little bit there, and so as we go forward in this series and in game number 2 here, maybe we start to see Steel Army settle down a little bit and get up to scoring the amount of goals we know they can. But yeah, we'll see how this goes as Bear Blitz hits a ball over the last defender of Los Verdes into the open net. A lovely flick here. I believe that was Bust Insider, third man for LV, and it's 1-0 to Los Verdes, or to Steel Army rather.
It was a really good pass from Debit. Debit ended up beating Palace up into the air and puts it right on Bear Blitz's hood. And so all Bear Blitz had to do was just flip into the ball or get a flick on it, and it's exactly what he did for the early lead. So maybe that sparks some more offense in this game. Of course, we'll see how LV respond as Plus Insider's going to play this over to the corner. But yeah, like I said, I'm waiting for Palace to kind of do a takeover. He keeps talking a lot of smack about how he can start double tapping on teams, but I haven't seen one double tap yet. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be the other end who gets the next goal. It's going to be another pass from Debit right over to Red 4 this time, and it's going to be 2 for Steel Army.
Yeah, a bit of a whip coming out of Bus Insider there, and a great center ball and a great finish for Steel Army. This is looking more like the series I thought it was going to be, Rye Dog, and so maybe nature is healing a little bit here from that game one. Honestly, a sluggish game from Steel Army, but they seem to be bouncing back in the way that I think most people would have predicted, and so if you're LV, you got to stop the bleeding here, because if not, this could get really, really out of hand.
As we see Bear Blitz, I think he's having some connection issues or something. He's not moving, so hopefully everything's okay with them. But for the meantime, the ball is still on the orange end, and Debit and Red 4 are doing a really good job of keeping the ball down there. As Palace is going to get a really good touch. As that net open, Bear Blitz is back just in time, gets the save. He baited everybody and ended up getting the save. As Palace this time is going to ricochet both posts and come out. So that's 2 chances for Palace that you would think we hit, and we do in fact have a Rule 1. And not anymore. Okay, very good.
We had a Rule 1 there, and it might have been advantageous for Los Verdes to not commit that demo. A 2v2 taking out, I believe, Debit there would have been probably ideal, but yeah, Red 4 in the Twitch chat saying his game froze, and as somebody who has played with him quite a lot, he has been having issues of late in that department. But yeah, so far, I mean, LV's had a couple chances. Palace ringing the woodwork, and this should be a shot here, but he side flips. Oh, you really don't like to see that. Palace has had some really good chances so far in this game, and things just haven't really gone his way.
Absolutely, that was a really good demo attempt. I'm not sure who it was on, but it was on one of the Steel Army players, and it actually opened up the goal. Unfortunately, the other LV players were just not ready for that play, but that's kind of the more of the stuff I want to see from Palace. He's just going to collect this one here, but Red 4 says, no siree, get that out of here, as we see Debit trying to get on the score sheet. He's going to paint the corner. No, not quite. Going to ricochet out in the end, but once again, yeah, the offenses have kind of stalled out a little bit, and I'm really hoping that I can see some more LV attacks, because, you know, of course, Palace has looked really good as he's going to try and save that one and end up putting it into his own net, as Debit's going to pop it by the remaining LV defenders and add another insurance goal for Steel Army.
That first touch, Rye Dog, from Debit, backing up a little bit and popping it perfectly is like really, really tough. And so kudos to Debit there. That was a tremendous first touch, and a brilliant second touch to get the 3rd goal for his side. And yeah, it just seems like the game's running away from LV a bit. They had that really good initial game number 1, as we see an attempt from Blue Sky. And yeah, it just seems like the balance of play is slowly but surely tilting the way of the Pittsburgh Riverhound side. And you really feel for LV here. It feels like they've put in a pretty good shift, but at the end of the day, the better team tends to get things done, and Bear Blitz putting an exclamation point on this game number 2, and that should just about seal this 2-0 lead for Steel Army.
His game might be froze, but he's got ice in his veins. What a shot, what a pinch off the ground to get it up and over the LV defenders to once again get another insurance goal for Steel Army. Is, yeah, this is kind of the game now. I've thought this would happen more so maybe in game 1 too, but of course it comes out in game 2 of just, yeah, more offense from Steel Army kind of showing their prowess. As Debit's going to go onto the wall and get a touch. It's not going to be the one they want. LV will clear it out in the end, but this is like I said, the game that I expected of it. Just a lot of Steel Army attacks that are fended off by LV.
Yeah, it's about what I expected as well, Rye Dog. And the USL side putting it to the MLS side here in this series. And you know, all things considered, I still, like, again, I highlighted him in game 1. I still think that LV's been playing relatively decent. I think Blue Sky's been great. He's rocking the Team Liquid decal, which really like to see that. Really miss them in the Rocket League scene, but we don't really have too many orgs anymore. But yeah, I think he's been really good. As we see 30 seconds left here, and yeah, I'm curious, right, dog. Maybe if Devin's in this lineup with Blue Sky, I think it might have made for a more formidable series, and maybe made Steel Army a little bit more uncomfortable. But yeah, pretty comfortable, all things considered.
Yes, this time is going to tick down. This ball is finally hanging out here in the blue half, but it is going to be a little bit too late as Steel Army are going to take a 2-0 series lead. And of course, like we mentioned before, it is a best of 5. So it is, you got 3 match points if you're Steel Army. But yeah, for LV, they got to go, and they got to go in this next game or they're going to get swept.
Yeah, a sweep is looking ever so likely, which is a bit unfortunate. I think Los Verdes have actually been playing some of their best ball, I think, that I've seen from them. But again, they are playing one of the top sides in our Consolation NIT SGL Season 8 tournament. So don't really expect anything different. I do want to say that they did have 6 shots, which didn't result in any goals, unfortunately. But at least they're getting the ball in the blue half. It's just going to come down to whether or not that translates into efficiency in terms of actual goals happening in game number 3. But yeah, so far, right, dog, not much to say. It's just a traditional Steel Army Los Verdes series.
Yeah, absolutely. And LV, of course, do need a goal to win the next game or they are going to be swept, but they are also in danger of being perfectly swept by Steel Army. I did probably just jinx it now that I said it, but I want to see some more Rocket League, so I'm fine with jinxing it. And that's okay. So yeah, Steel Army up 5 goals to 0 in this series. So we're realistically, I think you put it perfectly. I think LV just now need to capitalize on those opportunities. We've seen Palace have some good opportunities that he just hasn't put away. We've seen some other opportunities as well from Blue Sky that, theoretically probably should be put away. And so, yeah, we'll see, of course, how this happens in Game 3 as we get Game 3 underway.
Game 3 is underway. No changes for either side here. Kind of rare nowadays to see an XGL series go without any sort of rotation whatsoever from either team. And so same 3 from both sides. And yeah, you would think, right, dog, that this is going to be Steel Army series. But as I say that, Palace opens up the scoring. So again, like you said, perfect sweep is coming. And it's just not, because whenever the commentator says the perfect sweep happens, or the opposite tends to occur. And so Palace on the board, and it's 1-0 to Los Verdes.
Like I said, I'm glad that I jinxed it. I'm glad we got an LV goal, because that means we have the potential for more Rocket League. But as I say that, Bear Blitz says you can only have the lead for like 10 seconds, guys. So another pass from Debit Man just with the assist. I think that's his maybe 4th assist so far. So unbelievable.
Yeah, Bear's been unbelievable. Palace there on that goal was typing in chat, and what could have been a very easy ball for him to save. So typing in chat, prioritized over saving the ball for your team. But all in all, I think Bear Blitz has been really good. Steel Army did miss Bear Blitz in their series against the KC Cauldron. I think Bear Blitz is one of those players that really elevates Steel Army's play, and so good to see him performing at the level that we've been seeing from him all season.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's gonna get another flick, and it's gonna go in. You talk about him, he'll score. Bear Blitz with a beautiful catch off the sidewall, and nobody challenging from LV, and so Bear Blitz says, "Thank you very much. I will put that top right." And give the lead to Steel Army. So the 1 goal that we got from LV is quickly diminished by 2 really good Steel Army goals. So we'll see if LV can respond and get their tie back and hopefully score another one to get the lead back.
Yeah, and I think so far to see Bear Blitz demoing Palace, if Palace isn't on the field, probably pretty good for Steel Army. As we see some shots rain in on the orange net, and Palace with the bit of an unlucky own goal. Debit on the board. I think the ball was going goal side no matter what. But yeah, just you don't really think there's going to be any sort of offense here that can kind of get them back into the game again. They've only scored 1 goal in 3 games, and so this might already be done for our series here, right, dog? Unless Los Verdes can somehow pull out a miracle, as we see Bear Blitz again sniping the ball bottom right corner with an AFK player in the net for Los Verdes yet again. A lot of AFKs happening for Los Verdes. Probably not the best in terms of winning the match, as Blue Sky does lose internet connection, so hope to see his ISP provider help him out here shortly, because if not, I think it's already a tall task, Rye Dog, to be playing Steel Army 3v3, let alone 2v2.
Yeah, absolutely. Bear Blitz is going to put another one on target, and that's going to be his first shot of this game that he is not connected with or has not scored on. He was previously, and that's what I was going to mention, he was 100% shooting percentage. But, of course, with that shot, he won't be. But, yeah, it is really comfortable for Steel Army in the grand scheme of things, as Palace and Debit are going to come together in the midfield. But that's, once again, a really good catch from Bear Blitz, who's been Mr. Offense right now for Steel Army. He's going to leave it for Red 4. It's not going to be the shot he wants, but... And so here comes LV down the other side. We're hoping Blue Skies can get back in this game. But, of course, for now, there's still tons of time left as well. Not even at halftime. But, yeah, with the limited amount of LV attacks that we've seen with 3 players, it's going to be even harder with 2.
It's going to be harder with 2, but here's a bit of a 1v1 scenario. David Powell's in a bit of a rough spot. Yeah, this series is all about done, folks. We do wish that Blue Sky's internet will return to end this game. You never want to see a 2v3 as a player, as a fan, as a commentator. But Red 4 doesn't care. Red 4 is going to keep scoring goals, and that's 5 goals for Steel Army. No open net exceptions coming out from the team in blue. And yeah, it's very comfortable for Steel Army as they look to close out the series.
I don't want to call it so early, but just from what LV is not doing on the offensive end, it's just hard to really point out anything. As Blue Skies does return, he's back. So maybe, hopefully, he can turn the tide a little bit. As there's going to be a little bit of miscommunication as I say that, and Debit's going to put in a 6 for Steel Army. But I just gotta like I said, I hate calling it this early, but like I said, it's a little bit tough not to. It's a 5-goal game, and there really hasn't been a lot of offense for LV.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the banter from Blue Skies coming back into the lineup after his internet goes out and saying the comeback's on, down 5 with 2 minutes left. And it's good to see that they're taking it lightly. It's, sometimes you can get your morale and mental be down after you see some disconnects from internet issues, and you're already losing the series. And so good to see Blue Skies return and join us back in the lobby. As we see Palace there, he had a bit of a chance of a double tap there. I don't know if he was expecting the defender to miss, but yeah, this is all but formal. The game's all basically done at this point. It's all about having a little bit of fun here as we wait for the next series. But Debit gets us to a Brazil, and Maz, you know what to do. You can go ahead and fire up the Brazil. And a good shout out to Jorby, one of our favorite RLCS casters, who will be casting in Riyadh this week, as we have the FIFA Rocket League World Cup coming up, right, which I'm really excited for. And hopefully we see a bit of a better display from Team USA than we are seeing from Los Verdes at that tournament.
I agree completely, and it's going to be interesting, at least for the last minute. Do Steel Army keep the Brazil, or do they just keep going for more? And of course, we'll see that as they go on to another attack as well. Bear Blitz, we'll call that a tactical backup. He wanted to keep the Brazil intact. But, like I said, don't go anywhere. Of course, we have 45 seconds left in this game, but we also have another banger match for you coming up at the, in about 4 minutes time, / right after this one concludes. It's going to be Locals and Rebellion. So, super, super exciting match that we get to have for you, as this one's going to be cleared out by the Steel Army folks. And of course we still have that Brazil, which will be pretty cool if that can stay, as Devitt's gonna play this up. That's gonna be just off target as Plus Insider's gonna get the clear out in the end. But yeah, what a showing. What a showing from Steel Army. It's not surprising, I'll say, but it is a really good showing nonetheless, showing that they can easily be the 1 seed going into that Consolation tournament championship. But plus 4 points, that puts them on 9 points and puts them in a really good position moving forward.
Yeah, really good position from Steel Army going forward as they, like you said, look to finish in one of those top 2 spots. But GG's to both teams, and we do appreciate everyone being here in chat, in the stream. This was the undercard for tonight's stream. We do have the Locals versus the Rebellion, which will be our main event coming up in a couple of minutes time. And so not much to talk about here from me, Rydog. I think both teams played about how I thought both teams would play, and so yeah, I'm really happy that we got to see Blue Sky again. I always love seeing debutants, and I actually thought he played very well, and so kudos to him. Although his team did lose, I thought, for making his SGL Season 8 debut, I thought he played actually really well, and it would have been interesting to see him in more lineups for LV all season. But yeah, we gonna have predictions now in chat, by the way, for the next series. So if you do want to get some channel points and do a bit of fake gambling, you can go ahead and do that in our Twitch chat. But yeah, Rydog, just some concise thoughts on what we just saw.
No, I think you summed it up perfectly. Yeah, it's the series that we thought was going to happen. Steel Army just really just showing their class and just pouring on the goals there at the end. And I think, let's see if I can do quick maths in my head. I think the final tally was 7-1 for goals for Steel Army versus Los Verdes. So, of course, Steel Army, like we mentioned, on 9 points, putting themselves in a really good spot moving forward. And for LV, they are going to need to win out the rest of the way and need help, if that's even possible, because I think both teams are on 3 games. So should be interesting moving forward. But let's shift gears. Let's talk a little bit before we jump in to this Locals Rebellion series. Of course, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I guess my keys for the game, especially, I've mentioned it earlier, Mecky Ducky, man, he's got to be super aggressive and super on top of his game. Hopefully he starts in the Batmobile. I think I got scared when he went into the Batmobile after game 2, and of course they ended up getting the timeout buff and winning the next 2 games after that. But we'll attribute some of that to the Batmobile, so we'll see what happens there. And yeah, for the Rebellion, can they disrupt the Locals, which is something that they're really good at with doing with the other teams? Can they do that tonight?
Yeah, this is it's a bit of an interesting matchup in terms of my analysis. I think the Rebellion play very similar to your team, Rydog, who found a lot of success against the Locals. You guys all have a bit of a, I don't know how to say it specifically. I think it's a bit of a rugged, team-oriented gameplay. And so if the Locals had trouble against Timber's Army, maybe there's a recipe there for the Rebellion to take advantage of. And then on the flip side, maybe the Locals kind of see this as a weakness and maybe are going to go into a series like this with a bit of changes to the way that they approach their game. And so again, like I said at the outset of this stream, I genuinely have no idea which way to put it. I mean, I predicted 1K on the Rebellion in Twitch chat. I wasn't too confident in that. I think it could go 7. I really, so I'm not too confident. I think I put 50K on the Steel Army in the game prior, so it just kind of shows you where I'm at, Rydog. But yeah, I'll just, to not sit on the fence, I'll say the Rebellion win in 7 games. What say you?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. I think it really comes down to, can Ducky get free? Free the duck, as we say. And I think if he gets freed up, I think Rebellion's not stopping him at all. But yeah, I think if the Rebellion can get their game plan dialed in of just, being that like you mentioned, that rugged, team-oriented play style going, I mean, then I don't really think the Locals have too much of a shot, just because what we saw in that Timbers Army series was, excuse me, it took a while for them to adjust to that play style. And of course, they ended up taking 2 games on Timber's Army, but it just didn't. Of course, I'm a little bit biased because I was in the lobby, but it just didn't look like they showed that themselves. And of course, I think in those games 3 and 4 wins that they had, it was more Timber's Army not playing up to their standards, just in those 2 individual games. So we'll see. I think Rebellion pulling this out. I think I'm with you there, Luis, because I think they do, with that like disruptive play style is so effective against this locals team. But I think I am rooting for locals, if that makes sense. So if I had some channel points, which I do, I might put them on Rebellion. But I think I'm gonna root for locals. We were talking to Doughboy a little bit yesterday, and he seems confident. So I think that that bodes well for them.
Yeah, right now 5K channel points on the Rebellion, only 10 for the locals, and so you have a couple more seconds to get in your bets for this game. And man, that's a pretty good odds on the locals if you're a betting man, with all the majority of the channel points going towards the Rebellion. Kind of surprising to see that, to be honest, given just the season the locals had, arguably having the MVP of this season. And just in the in-game lobby chat, you guys can't currently see it on your screen. I asked our mechanical duck here, our Mechie Ducky, our Monkey Ducky at times. I asked him if he is rocking the Batmobile, and he will be, which is a scary sight for any team in FGL. We did see in your series, Riot Dog, those first 2 games, he was rocking the inferior Dominus, which didn't really bode well for them. But good to see him back in his natural habitat of the Batmobile. So maybe a foreboding sign for the Rebellion.
Yeah, absolutely agree. As we're just waiting on Rebellion to join the lobby here shortly, and then we'll get the main card kicked off pretty shortly. But yeah, I realistically, I'm with you though. I think it's going to be 7 games. I think it has the potential of going back and forth. I really see. I really see, this is how I see it, the locals taking game 1, Rebellion answering, making some tweaks, taking game 2, and then I think I'll say even locals take the next 2, and then Rebellion bring it back all the way. So I don't know. Luis, you're just putting in chat, this could be a sweep or a game 7 OT, I don't know. And I think that just bodes to, like, we just don't know what these teams are going to look like. And, you know, I kind of mentioned it before. If Ducky can get freed up, I think locals can take it. But I think if Rebellion can just dial in their game plan of disrupting locals, then I think they take it. So we'll see. And that's the beauty of this game, is we get to see right now as we have both teams on the field. And the countdown is just about to start, and we're getting ready to start game number 1. Here we go.
Game number 1 of our main game of the stream, the one that we've been looking forward to, the locals versus the Rebellion. Right now, both teams coming out in what I would say, and I think you would say as well, Riot Dogs, their most strong lineup. And so good to see. And so far, we're seeing a strong start out of the Boston team. And we should remind folks that this series is being played on West Coast servers, which do favor the team who just scored. Mechie Ducky on the board with a really lovely self-pass, and the Batmobile doing the rest. And man, Riot Dog, you mentioned getting the duck going, and if the duck's going to get going, then that's going to be a really good sign for the locals.
Yes, absolutely. And I did want to mention as well, this is a best of 7. Of course, the last series was only a best of 5. This is going to be a best of 7. But yes, getting the Ducks started early is going to be super important for locals. I wanted to see him be more aggressive, and of course we're seeing that so far as we see now the ball here on the blue half as the ball's going to be cleared out, and here comes Doughboy. Can he get this one on target? He can't. It's going to be a really good clear from Polar as Mechie Ducky coming flying in. But even Mechie Ducky going for those challenges, even though he didn't win it and it ended up being a really good clear from the Rebellion side, I want to see Mechie Ducky go for those. I want to see him full of confidence, and you know, even if he doesn't hit that shot or get the touch that he wants, he's still going for those and feeling confident in himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the flip side, I think Polar has been the kind of the standout player for the Rebellion, and as we see Shorts with a tremendous play off of the right wall there, limited boost, but no problem on a ridiculous angle. I don't think KJ Doughboy really expected a shot there, but Shorts fires back, and wow, already a tremendous start offensively for both teams.
Absolutely, and I think it looked like KJ as well was kind of stuck on the post, the infamous post, if you will. and couldn't get quite around it, but I don't think it would have mattered as Mecky Ducky's going to answer right back. It's 2 quick goals for the Duck, and is he unleashed? Maybe.
Yeah, I do want to highlight Dr. Aquatic here with a tremendous bump, freeing up the space for their talisman, and that's just kind of something that we look for on the local side is KJ Doughboy and Dr. Aquatic making space for Mecky Ducky. We've seen in the locals' losses, right, Dog, that when Mecky Ducky is shut down and he has no space, that tends to bode well for the locals' opponents. And so far, a really good start from the locals. I don't want to call them the other two, but the more supportive players on their side, freeing up the space for their best player.
Absolutely, as we see Shorts is going to have to rush back to this one, as we see lots of physical play coming out. It kind of started with Shorts getting a demo or two, and then Doughboy said, I will answer, thank you very much, as this one's going to be just floating out in the middle, and unfortunately Dr. Aquatic couldn't go because there were 2 locals players up, as this one's going to not be a really good clear, as can Mecky Ducky follow this in his big flat pancake? He can't, but Polar can't get this ball on target. But this ball is still hanging out in the blue half, as Ducky's going to get a really good clear off of the back wall and kind of clear the danger for now, but I'm liking this back and forth affair for both teams.
Yeah, and I love that infield pass to Triple C, just a little bit off the mark there, but some really good chances for the Rebellion to equalize. Polar had a chance that just went a bit wide, and yeah, very back and forth affair so far. Both teams really giving it their best shot here, as we see Shorts unable to finish, and we see another post from Triple C. There was 3 posts in the span of a couple seconds there for the Rebellion, and so the Rebellion really showing their mustard as we see an own goal. Shorts into his own net. An attempted save by, I believe, Triple C Corey there on his friendly fire shot. You hate to see that. What a dunk, by the way, on Triple C there from Shorts. And the locals, you don't want to be giving them free goals, right, Dog? And that's exactly what the Rebellion just did.
Absolutely, and I want to go back to that save too. I think you said it hit the post, but I think it also tipped off a Doughboy as well, because he ended up getting credit for an epic save. So whether it hit the post, hit Doughboy, or hit something, as Doughboy's going to come up and make another save, as Polar is going to answer right back. So the Rebellion not going away, but quickly getting that own goal out of their heads. Yeah,
the Rebellion have scored 3 goals this game, but they still trail. And good response from Polar. Polar's been tremendous this season. There have been a couple of series in which the Rebellion did not have him, and my goodness, was it apparent the quality difference in the sides. And so 5 goals so far in this game number 1, as we see a great ball mid, no one there from that really nice pass mid from Triple C Corey there. And yeah, I'm liking the Rebellion here in this latter half of the game. They've really kind of turn things around given the slow start they had.
Absolutely, but this is exactly what you don't want. Mechanical Duck off of the sidewall. It's just going to go in. There was no challenge to the Rebellion player, as Mecky Ducky has a hat trick now, which is something you couldn't even say in the last series against TA, but he's got it in game 1.
Yeah, Polar there in a bit of a tough spot. Do I go for the corner boost? He had no boost, or do I go straight back to the net and hope that Mecky Ducky doesn't put it in a unsavable spot? And unfortunately the latter happened, as we see the Duck off the ceiling. A bit of a whiff there on the back line from the Rebellion, but Mecky Ducky doesn't care. A tremendous stealing goal from him over Polar. Shorts a bit of a side flip, and it's 5-2 for the locals that are running away with game number 1.
This might be a weird saying, but I'm happy that I did not get to see this Mechanical Duck in our series against them, just because of how crazy he is. But as now of a neutral fan, of course, of just a fan of Mecky Ducky's play in general, I'm so happy that he is back doing his mechanical things. Unbelievable goal off of the ceiling. And he's got 4 goals. The locals are looking really good. And honestly, if I'm Rebellion, I'm a little scared of how the locals are playing.
Yeah, this is easily the best that the Mechanical Duck has played in a very long time in SGL, and Dr. Aquatic adds the 6, and I want to re-emphasize, the locals have lost 2 straight series coming in to this one here, and Meki Ducky really hasn't been playing out to the standard that we hold him to, but when he is playing at this level, this is a different local side, and so going forward in this series, if you are the Rebellion, that is something you are going to have to take into account. How do we limit the impact right now that Meki Ducky's having?
Absolutely, is Meki Ducky's going to get a really key demo on a Rebellion player and stop that attack as we eclipse the 15-second mark in this next game, as Polar's going to get one for the road, make it 6-3. So maybe a little bit of momentum from Rebellion, but yeah, I think this game, unless something crazy happens on the kickoff, is short. It's another really good bump in the end, getting Doughboy out of there. But my prediction of locals winning game 1 is going to stand strong, and man, so now we've seen this unbelievable performance from locals in this game 1, of course highlighted, but of course Meki Ducky. But I think Doughboy on the other end, getting the saves that he needed to, the one crazy one off the post and everything, is Shorts is going to add another one for momentum purposes. So that bodes well for the Rebellion. But yeah, what do Rebellion need to change? It looks like they're being a lot more physical or a lot more aggressive here in the latter parts of this game 1.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if you do take the goal that the Rebellion scored in their own net and put it on their side and remove it from the locals, this would be a tied game. I really don't think you need to change much apart from just let's put a hand up for Meki Ducky. I think that would be probably the first place that I would start. But all in all, I think this Rebellion team isn't going to be too disarrayed after this game 1 performance, but Meki Ducky, 761 points, 4 goals and 7 shots. He's doing his thing, and it's really good to see if you are a locals player fan. The Ducks back, and right out, he's playing back up to the level that we saw for most of the season.
Absolutely, and like I mentioned before, I'm glad I didn't get to see this Ducky during our series, just because I would have been scared. And honestly, like I mentioned, I was scared when he switched over to the Batmobile halfway through our series, and so just having him start out like that, I think is just going to be such a confidence boost for him and the rest of the team, as well as, hey man, Meki Ducky's back. We can give him the ball. He's going to go do his thing up top, and now we can kind of focus on our midfield and defensive game, which is obviously Doughboy holding down the back line, doing really well on some clears and having some insane saves, and of course Dr. Aquatic being one of the best midfielders in the league as well, in the support cast there. So of course we move on to Forbidden Temple in game 2, and like I said, we'll see how the Rebellion respond. They did really well when they were able to get physical, whether that be being just bumps or actually getting demos. And we'll see how that plays out. I think it's a double-edged sword, right, of getting demos and disrupting the other team, but also you're leaving yourself exposed at the back, especially with the way that Rebellion get these demos. They often send maybe a second man or even a third man sometimes to get those demos, and it just kind of throws off their rotation. And I feel like some of those goals that they were giving up already, is this ball's going to pinch out. Can Doughboy get there? No, they can't. And as I talk about the Rebellion, they are going to be the ones opening up the score in game 2.
Yeah, tremendous clear from Triple C there, off of what should have been a better 50 if you are a locals player, and really good start for the Rebellion, about the best start you could have asked for. And I think, yeah, again, I think the game plan for the Rebellion, there's not much you need to change. Maybe adjusting to the higher ping of the server may be the only thing, and you know, if Doughboy, or if Meki Ducky is getting a lot of points and, you know, getting a lot of goals, and you're kind of shutting down the other 2 players, that's still a viable strategy. You know, you can't 1v3 most teams in the SGL, let alone some of these playoff teams. As we see Meki Ducky, though, no hands were up there, and he has a free shot on net and tucks it away in the bottom left corner. Honestly, I would have liked a bit of an early challenge there from the Rebellion, but Meki Ducky says, I don't care, and he makes it 1-1.
Man, his shooting right now is unbelievable. He's gonna tie it up with 4:20 left in game 2. But yeah, I think Shorts just looked a little bit awkward there in net, just turning a little bit to the near post instead of staying at the far post, because of course Ducky ended up putting that shot to the far post. This is gonna be ended up being a whiff from I'm not sure who it was, but it's gonna be Doughboy from downtown to give the lead back to locals.
Yeah, Triple C there kind of ran out of boost, and what I thought was going to be a goal for the Rebellion ends up being a goal for the locals. Two players with 0 boost on the Rebellion ends up being their demise on that second goal, and great bounce back from the locals, going down 1-0 within 15 seconds, now winning the game. Kind of shows you that their mental is a lot better this game than maybe in some previous series of theirs. And yeah, I'm really liking the locals' game plan so far. It's really working wonders for them.
Absolutely, as we see Triple C's gathering his thoughts in the back left corner and grabbing a mid boost as well, as Doughboy's not going to get the hit he wants, but Mecky Ducky will bail him out in the end. It's this ball now. Here goes Mecky Ducky again. He puts this one on target. Polar is going to get back in time for the save. But yeah, every time it seems like Mecky Ducky touches the ball, it's is this ball going to go in? What's going to happen is Shorts and Polar both go for this. That's a really good touch from Triple C's. Once again, Mechanical Doc had a free shot, but Triple C's ended up getting back in time.
Yeah, Triple C's had some really good touches so far for the Rebellion. That was going to be a surefire goal. As we see a great pinch from him yet again. He's been playing really well. Typically, we see the Rebellion's top 2 players be Shorts and Polar, but as we say that, Dr. Aquatic on the scoreboard. I think a bit of a whiff there, just kind of ran out of boost. And Dr. Aquatic in a Fennec, I should add. He usually plays, I believe, in a Skyline. So Dr. Aquatic on the board. 3 goals for the locals, and right now the Rebellion, they look in shambles at the moment.
Absolutely, but hopefully maybe this goal can get them right back in the game after a really beautiful infield pass from Ducky to Dr. Aquatic. It's going to be some bumps coming out from Triple C's that's going to allow Polar to get a free shot, and Mecky Ducky couldn't use his pancake enough to save that one. And so we keep talking about this awesome offense from locals, but Rebellion are still in this game. They're only down by 1.
Yeah, only down by 1 there on the goal. Mecky Ducky didn't really have enough boost, and yeah, you mentioned that maybe that long car would have been able to reach it, but again, good response from the Rebellion. Both teams are just scoring goals for fun. Defense is at a minimum, and so it just feels like if you're losing in one of these games, you're never really out of it, considering the goals that are just flying in. And so good rebound from the Rebellion. I'm liking the way Polar's playing. He's coming off the back of like a 26-hour Valorant stream, so good to see him playing some Rocket League and playing it pretty well.
Absolutely, as Doughboy's going to get a shot this time, but it's going to be Shorts in the end to clear. And Maz brings up a really good point in chat of the Rebellion have really just been hitting these 100 boost pads, and they really haven't been able to collect the small boost pads as they're rotating back. It's going to be another infield pass from Ducky that's not going to connect, but yeah, I agree. You need boost, especially right now it's Shorts. Now getting the 100, be able to attack for Mecky Ducky, but is it going to be too late? What a save from Polar, unbelievable.
Well, yeah, I mean, just a tremendous save from Polar, and a tremendous contest from him as well. He's really stepping it up here for the Rebellion, and you know, that's just what we've been seeing from Polar all season. Much the same we talk about Mecky Ducky for his team, Polar for his as well. So really good start from Polar, and about a minute to go here. The Rebellion do need a goal here if they want to stay alive. As we see an open net here for Short, and he will capitalize off the back of, I believe that was a Polar demo there. Again, I'm liking the physical play, and this is kind of something I mentioned, Rydog. This team likes the physical play. They like the gritty sort of Rocket League, and it's working wonders so far in this game number 2 as they tie it up.
Absolutely, it's looked really, really good from the Rebellion as of late, but I do want to highlight the boost, situation that's going on. Once again, Triple C's no boost, is not able to contest this. Shorts also coming down with no boost, finally grabbing 100, and so that is something to watch for as this series progresses, especially with, a second man challenge. They just don't have the boost to go for it. It's going to be a really good pass from Polar, and Shorts unable to connect as Aquatic's going to get the demo, but this net is open for the meantime, but it's going to be a shot that just goes high for the Rebellion, but they've looked really, really good as of late, and kind of putting locals here on the back foot.
Yeah, Polar had a tremendous middle ball there for shorts about 15 seconds ago. You would have liked to seen that go in if you're a Rebellion fan. 25 seconds ago. Right now, I think it must be so. I think the Rebellion are the more likely team to score. As things stand, but I'm always wary to say anything right, dog, because the commentator's curse is big. But 9 seconds here as the countdown begins. The ball is in the blue end of the field. In the middle of the net, people are whiffing. No one's hitting the ball. Mecky Ducky takes it, and the ball is still up. But here we go, OT in game number 2.
Absolutely, and what a response from the Rebellion to claw back in that game. I think very easily, like we saw in game 1, where they just kind of gave up goals at will to kind of stretch the scoreline very, very thin for themselves, and ultimately giving locals a lot of momentum going into this game too. And of course you saw that with the 3 goals from the locals, but they've really just battled back in this second game and said, hey, 2-goal deficit, it's all good, we'll get back to this. And I think that just shows the character of the team, right? And we've known this all along from the Rebellion. They never give up, and they look really, really good at times. As Polar's not going to get the pass that he wants in the midfield, but Shorts will be there to clean up. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Luis. I think Rebellion right now are the team that's looking a lot better going into this overtime.
Yeah, it seems like the aggressive play coming out of the Rebellion is really starting to work wonders. Dr. Aquatic, bit of an awkward spot here, back wall, limited boost, short of the challenge, but Dr. Aquatic does really well there, considering the amount of boost he had. And yeah, I'm liking where the Rebellion are at, but I'm not liking the 1v1 with Mecky Ducky Shorts. Comes to the rescue, Mecky Ducky carving up the Rebellion, and that could have very easily ended the game there, Rye Dog. You never want to see that flat pancake coming at you from that angle.
No, absolutely not. As Polar's going to try and hit this down, it's going to be a really good demo from Dr. Aquatic, because that was a free shot in the middle for Rebellion, as this ball's just going to kind of hang out in the blue half. Polar's going to spike this down, and it's going to be super awkward. This ball's just bouncing around
Oh my god.
for the Rebellion. I'm not sure how anybody's or how the Rebellion haven't scored yet. As this ball's going to be pinched out. That one goes just wide. But yeah, Rebellion right now pouring it on, just not getting the goal to show for it.
Yeah, the Rebellion are going to be hurting themselves if they can't end up winning this game number 2. I mean, they've had all the chances, and Mecky Ducky misses an open net. I think it was an open net, or at least it was a clopen net, as Johnny Boy says. That was a tremendous chance on both ends. Both teams are peppering the net, and yeah, both teams you really feel if you're in those offensive positions that you really need to be scoring the ball. And but we continue here. 2 minutes into OT, it's still tied.
Absolutely. We played another half of Rocket League, as that ball is going to go into the middle, and Polar's going to clear, and it's going to be Dr. Aquatic to send it the other way, as things have kind of stabilized here after that really interesting offensive flurry from the Rebellion. But this ball is, once again, just kind of, it's staying more in the blue half than the orange half, Luis, and I don't know if you can tell, but these counterattacks from both teams look really dangerous. Both teams are kind of leaving the net a little bit too open for my liking, at least.
Yeah, if we had some magical XG number right, Og, for this game, I think the Rebellion are edging it ever so slightly. The ball tends to be in the blue half a little bit more than the red. And one thing I would caution against the Rebellion is getting into a ping pong match. I think that suits the locals' game plan. And right now, I think if you're the Rebellion, just keep up the aggressive play. And if you're the locals here, maybe get a little bit more aggressive. You're not really known for that, but maybe it'll cause things to open up a bit in a way that might surprise the Rebellion, having not faced that so far yet.
Absolutely, as we're going to see Polar clear this out to the side with only 10 boosts to his name. Can Dr. Aquatic win this 50? It's going to go right to the Duck. Duck goes up and gets a fake on Shorts, gets the dunk, and locals take a pivotal game 2.
Yeah, this is class here, folks. The low 50. You fake like you go high and you go low, and you're always winning that 50 from that angle. And that's just kind of what you expect out of the MVP candidate, out of the locals, putting the team on his back when they needed him the most. And yeah, wow, what a game number 2. A bit of a long OT there, and really both teams, you could feel, had a really decent shot of winning that. But again, the locals here, they're up 2-0, and the Rebellion really need to bounce back in this game number 3.
Absolutely, and we'll see. There are timeouts available to both teams, I believe. Somebody might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but that might be a good time for the Rebellion to take one, maybe just to kind of settle the nerves there, especially with that weird, I'll call it a defensive lapse from locals of the ball just kind of hanging right by the net and nobody there to finish it off for the Rebellion. And of course, like you said, Luis, unfortunately that did happen. It did bite them in the butt as Meki Ducky once again putting another 740 point game in his pocket. And I think it is safe to say the Duck is back, and hope we can interview him or at least one of the locals after the game, and especially talk about Meki Ducky and maybe his mental going on over the course of, of course, we talked to him after the TA series, a little bit down on himself, not really performing the way that he wants to, but I'd be curious to ask him, at least, especially after these first 2 games, how he's feeling.
Yeah, and I think for him, it's, once you've had a couple of, not bad series, but you just haven't been playing up to the standard that you've shown all season, it's good to get back to, these sorts of performances and get the confidence going, and just kind of makes players like that even more dangerous. And so here we go, game 3. This is basically a must-win game for the Rebellion. Of course, there are reverse sweeps potentials, but once you get to this point in the playoffs, reverse sweeps are just ever so unlikely. And so if you're the Rebellion, this has to be your game number 7. You have to get a win here. And if you're the locals, this is a massive opportunity to all but end the series here.
Absolutely, as we see some more demos coming out from the Rebellion side. Trying to get that physicality going. That worked so well towards the end of that game 2, and especially in even that game 1 too, when the game might have been out of reach at that point, but they did look really good kind of towards the end with those physical plays and just kind of set in the house. Of course, there's little to no risk, of course, because if you lose 7-4 versus if you lose 6-5, it's all the same at the end of the day. But what is the same at the end of the day is Ducky feeding Dr. Aquatic to open game 3.
Yeah, a tremendous ball here. Meki Ducky could have easily gone for goal himself, but he made the better play, passing it to Dr. Aquatic, who is changing to his 3rd car of the series. I believe he's in on the octane. As we see a kickoff goal from Meki Ducky, makes it 2-0, and it's just not looking good for the Rebellion right now. Polar, I don't want to say he gets beat there. A little bit of a delayed kickoff from Meki Ducky, and it's 2-0. And these are really worrying times if you're a Rebellion fan.
Absolutely, and I think the only saving grace right now for them is that they did come back from a 2-goal deficit in that game number 2 to tie it and take us to overtime, as Meki Ducky doesn't miss all those a lot, as Doughboy's going to find the open net. And locals are just pouring it on here early and trying to kill any and all momentum that Rebellion might have had.
Triple C with a whiff, Shorts with a whiff, Doughboy with a goal, and yeah, that might just about do it for this series here. Yeah, going down 3 goals in about a minute is super demoralizing, let alone the practical implications of being down 3 goals when you're already down 2 games, and that should have been goal number 4. Meki Ducky, again, causing all problems and setting up his teammates, and yeah, just kind of scary days for the Rebellion. And the locals, may they be finding their form right when they need to, right when their playoff lives are on the line. Are the locals kind of be coming back and playing the ball that we've been seeing them play all season?
Absolutely, as Triple C's can't find the corner. That would have been a really big goal for them, as this ball is still in the attack. Triple C's is going to find the corner this time with a beautiful pass from Shorts. And 1 down. You got 2 more to go.
Yeah, 1 down for the Rebellion. And I do want to say, I think the Rebellion, they just haven't really shown any quit in any of these first 2 games. And so you mentioned them kind of going down to a deficit, and that really hasn't phased them. What has been phasing them is hitting the post and not shooting the ball on target. It's been one of the only problems for them so far in this series. But yeah, so far, good response from them. They're still down 2 goals, but you got to score 1 to score 2. And Triple C, again, on the scoreboard. Really a player that we really don't highlight too often on this Rebellion team, given the star power of Shorts and Polar. But Triple C, upper 90, and what a response. The Rebellion are back in it again.
Meki Ducky was back and didn't have enough boost, actually didn't have any boost at all, and I wonder if he got bumped by a Rebellion player as well, just to add insult to injury there. But nonetheless, yeah, we said it all along, Rebellion just don't quit. It can be 2 goals in game 2. It's 3 goals now today. Of course, they haven't completed the comeback just yet in this game, but they've definitely got themselves back in this game. And as I said, this is going to be the momentum clincher right here. And I think we saw that in our series on Sunday with Black Army versus ECRC, right? ECRC taking the first 2 games, things looking well. And of course, unfortunately, that was that unfortunate error that happened at the end as another shot comes in from Polar. It's going to be passed back to Triple C, as that's not going to amount to anything just yet. But we saw one mistake come out from from ECRC, and it ended up flipping the entire series around as Mecky Ducky's going to follow his own shot that goes off the post, and it's going to add an insurance goal and stop the immediate momentum for the Rebellion.
Yeah, the Rebellion get caught out there. Mecky Ducky with the fortunate bounce off the post right to where he was stationed. And that is one thing you do notice with the Rebellion in the way that they play. When they go forward, they all go forward, and it leaves a lot of room down the other end. And what a response! No, off the post! I thought it was in from my angle. Again, the post favoring the locals, not favoring the Rebellion here. As we see that shot go just a bit wide. This is going to have to be a save from shorts, and it is. But yeah, just kind of something to notice tactically. The Rebellion, when they go, and unfortunately for them, that leads to a lot of open nets in their own net, and the locals are taking full advantage.
Absolutely. Triple C's has looked really, really good over the course of this series, and he's really given it his all. Mecky Ducky's going to use that pancake of a car to pinch the ball across, but nobody's there in the end, and Polar's just going to send it downfield. Oh boy, that's not the read you want, but Mecky Ducky is going to bail him out in the end. This ball's just kind of now hanging out in the blue half. But yeah, I think if you're the Rebellion, you need to get one, maybe with what, 40 seconds left, 30 seconds left to give yourself a real shot of tying this game up and sending us to another overtime, as Shorts is going to try and play this out. But it's just going to be constant pressure from locals, as they're not giving the Rebellion anything going forward.
Yeah, and that was a critical save from Doughboy. That could have been the goal that the Rebellion needed. What a passing play. But Mecky Ducky there to intercept what would have been a lovely team goal. And this is the goal for the game win of game number 3, Doughboy with the 5th. And I was going to say that this has to be a save for the Rebellion if they want any chances. But the locals, they slam their 5th in the net. And I think that 5th goal, Rye Dog, will see them winning game number 3 and going on, quadruple match point?
Quadruple match point indeed. I don't know if we have the stats for best of 7 reverse sweeps in SGL. I don't even know if there's been that many. Of course, I'm a newbie, so what do I know anyways? Dr. Aquatic is going to put that in for a 6th. And definitely put the nail in the coffin for game 3. But what a crazy series we've had. I think we both said that this may just go back and forth, but I don't think we realized that it was going to be back and forth within the game rather than the series.
Yeah, and Triple C's going to get his hat trick here at the end. And yeah, on that last goal for the locals, we saw again the Rebellion sending the house, which resulted in a team bump. And it's one of the weaknesses or positives of how the Rebellion play. And you know, if they're scoring the goals when they send all 3 players, it's really good. And if they're not, they're usually conceding. And so far, we've seen that in this series. And this is going to be quite an uphill task to find a reverse sweep, as we see Shorts adding on to their score. Again, no defense being played in the series, which I quite like as a commentator and just as a viewer. Like to see the net bulge. But here we go. I mean, it's technically not over, right, Dog? If a kickoff goal happens now, this game is still there.
Absolutely, but I think that needed to go in that direction, as Doughboy's going to absolutely slam the door this time. I think now we can confidently say this game 3 is over. But if you take the last, I don't know, we'll say 20 seconds, 30 seconds of games, Rebellion are killing the locals. Like, if only the last 30 seconds was played, Rebellion have, what, like 4 or 5 goals to their name? So I think now it just comes down to, can they spread that over the course of the games themselves, as Triple C's is going to get another one to just boost up my tally even further. And I'm at a loss for words for how this game turned out.
Yeah, a lot of statistical great games going to be coming out of this series. Even in a loss, whatever team it may be, there's just so many points on the board, so many goals, and very little defense. But the locals are not going to mind. They like these high-scoring games, and they take game number 3 and are up 3-0 with the Rebellion. I mean, they can't lose a game now, or they are out of this year's SGL playoffs. And again, Mecky Ducky, top of the scoreboard for both teams, and just doing his thing. And I do want to highlight Dr. Aquatic as well. Actually, everybody on the locals has over 500 points, so that just kind of shows you just the amount of offense that's happening and the lack of defense. So. Really, really good game from the locals. Polar only 122 points in a lobby filled with 12 goals is probably not ideal for the Rebellion, but it's 3-0, and it's gonna take I'll call it now. If they do reverse sweep, this will be the biggest result in SGL history. Will it happen? I guess we'll find out, and we're being informed by our SGL RLCS referee that the Rebellion, have taken a timeout, and much needed timeout. I'm always one to take a timeout when I'm down 2-0 instead of 3-0, just because I think it's just kind of a momentum shifter. But they have taken their timeout, chat. So I mean, how you feeling, Rye Dog? I mean, this series has been wild.
This series has been wild, and I'm actually going to shout out you because you said this in chat before the season started. This is either going to be a sweep or a Game 7 overtime. And so we've definitely got one of those for sure. But I for all this talk that we have about Mecky Ducky, right, about him, of course, over course this series, but over the course of the season in general, just having him pop off and showing us his MVP caliber play style, I think it just, you don't show or you don't see how much impact that Doughboy and Dr. Aquatic have on the team as a general, just because of, I think Mecky Ducky just gets the spotlight so much. But Mecky Ducky is able to do all of those things because of the support cast that he has behind him. Of course, Doughboy just being one of the best third man in the league of just sweeping everything up off the back line. And of course, over this series, he showed too that he can be on the offensive end as well, but also Dr. Aquatic in the midfield. And it's kind of weird too, because you take that TA series and you're like, what is going on? But then if you look at this series, you say, this is the locals that we remember from the regular season, and it's so nice to see them back.
Yeah, and if you're the rest of the lower round teams in SGL, particular Black Army, which would be the next opponent for either team, you really don't like to see the locals getting going. Obviously, Black Army did sweep the locals in that last game of the season, but they weren't playing like this, so really a foreboding sign for Black Army or just any future lower round SGL team. But here we go, game number 4. Will it be a sweep? Will the Rebellion somehow manage to get a reverse sweep? Which, again, I'll call it now. This would be the biggest result in SGL history. But I'll be honest, Right Dog, I think a sweep is way more likely than a reverse sweep.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that too, but I really just think it comes down, there's going to be some really awkward. I don't know what just happened. Just like that overtime in game 2, the Rebellion not able to capitalize on just the weirdness that is the locals defense in the way. But I was just about to mention too, it's funny how that all played out, but this first goal is going to be so important, especially for the Rebellion, just to, come out of that timeout and make sure that, whatever you talked about in that timeout is just, it for sure is the fact that you are still in this series. You do have a big hill to climb, but it just starts with one goal and it starts with one game. As Polar's going to take this one off the side, he's going to go off the ceiling. I really like this play. It's going to go off the backboard and shorts with no boost. And Maz said it in chat, the boost pickups for the Rebellion have been not so great, because if you just have 12 boosts, literally just one pad, that's a goal for the Rebellion.
Yeah, whiffs all over the place for the Rebellion. The Rebellion should be winning this game if they just put the ball on the target. But the locals surviving early on here in game number 4, and this has been a recipe for disaster for the Rebellion this series. The locals much more the clinical team, and right now you know, the mental's got to be a little off for the Rebellion as they see a great save off of a tremendous Mecky Ducky shot. But yeah, so far a good start for the Rebellion. They just have to put the ball in between the posts, and yeah, go from there.
And I think that's just demoralizing, just being in, in a similar situation where you're just peppering shots, and nothing is going in no matter what you do. It's so demoralizing. And so as this game just continues on without a goal from the Rebellion, it's just not going to look very good. As Mecky Ducky's going to bring it over too. Can Dr. Aquatic finish? He can't. That's going to leave Doughboy by himself with full boost in the back. As Triple C's is going to try and chase this down, but as Mecky Ducky, that's a rare miss from him. Can we see attack from the Rebellion? Not quite, as Dr. Aquatic is going to keep this in the corner. But yeah, as this game goes on with no goals for the Rebellion, it's going to get just more on edge of who's going to break the deadlock.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Aquatic again on another car change. He's doing the carousel of cars, which I do appreciate. He's been tremendous all series long for the locals, and he's had some really great offensive outbursts this season. Dr. Aquatic has, and I think overall his play in this series, although he hasn't been scoring, I guess the volume of goals that he's scored in other series has been tremendous, and we see him on the other end, right on cue. Dr. Aquatic, upper 90, a tremendous first touch to set up what is a really, really good shot place in that top left corner. Polar full boost, can't do anything about that. The skyline puts the locals up 1-0, and this could be the end of the Rebellion season.
And I just wanted to point out too, and it's funny because that's exactly how this goal happened of the Rebellion, as they're gonna give up another one with Doughboy, but Rebellion are just throwing the ball away. They're not connecting on passes. They're just kind of throwing the ball downfield and maybe waiting for locals to make a mistake. But truthfully, locals have looked like their prime selves today. Once again, Doughboy's going to add an insurance goal, and I guess the one saving grace you do have for the Rebellion is that they've been in this spot before, and maybe they're maybe more comfortable down, that they can be more aggressive and that sort of thing. But nonetheless, it's just not good for them, especially when they have to win this game and win 2 more games just to tie the series.
Yeah, 2 goals here. It's looking like a long task, Riot Dog, if I'm being honest. Doughboy put the insurance goal in for them, and Mecky Ducky's going to keep adding on to the insurance. 3-0. That's going to be it. Mecky Ducky, putting a stamp on what has been his bounce back series, letting everybody know he's still Mecky Ducky. He's still the mechanical duck. He's still one of the better players that we do have in this league. And yeah, what a response from the locals. Again, we mentioned it before the game started. They've lost 2 straight series coming in to this one, and this is just a typical bounce back performance that you see from a really good team who was going through a bit of a rough patch. And so good to see for the locals. And man, their series versus Black Army, the revenge series from the last game of the season, that's going to be really, really fun to watch.
As Mecky Ducky's going to add a 4th with a beautiful solo play to get it over the last defender. Actually, I think he out-dribbled, 2 players there, beating the first guy in his own corner and then getting the flick over Triple C's. And yeah, that just makes that Black Army series so much more interesting. You have now surging locals and just taking care of business in 4 games here in this series, and it's kind of a similar situation to what you were talking about on Sunday when we were casting the ECRC Black Army game of, Black Army in a similar situation of, hey, they just didn't play their best ball and they give up, the Game 7 OT win to TA, and now they need a bounce back series, and they got it against ECRC. And so it's a very similar storyline for the locals. Locals not playing well against Timbers Army, completely flip the script and find a way to win in this series, and just looked miles better than they did against TA, and that's going to move them on to a date with Black Army.
A date with Black Army, indeed. And I'll be honest, like we mentioned before the stream, I mean, I had no idea what was going to happen this series. I said in chat it could be a sweep or a Game 7 OT, and we did end up getting a sweep, and it just kind of shows you that the unpredictability of SDL. I mean, we always talk about the parity and how every team can beat every team, and I think today not having a single game won by a loser is a bit of an anomaly that we've seen throughout the FGL season. But what a tremendous performance from the locals. Really want to highlight them bouncing back. Yeah, I look forward to their date with Black Army. I know that they'll be wanting to get their get back, having been completely dismantled in that last game of the regular season. So we're going to have a tremendous rematch here in the playoffs, and what is going to be a best of 7 instead of a best of 5. And so tremendous series from the locals. And for the Rebellion, their season does come to an end, right, Dog? But again, I thought they had really good glimpses throughout this series. It's just a matter of converting chances, not getting caught out on defense, that I think was the real determining factor in who won this series. And the locals just a little bit more refined than the Rebellion in that department. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing from both teams. And I'm hearing that KJ Doughboy will be our first interview from the locals, from the winning team. And I'm looking forward to talking to him.
We're gonna bring him in right now, Mr. Doughboy. Sweep is absolutely bonkers. I mean, we were going back and forth in the booth of what's really gonna happen here. How are you guys feeling after that performance?
You know, it was a sweep, but it doesn't feel like a sweep necessarily. Those were really tough games. And could somebody call off the hounds, maybe put them in the kennel a little bit? Jeebus, they flood.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the in the booth, KJ. It was a sweep, like you said, but man, it was like back and forth within the individual games. It might have not been back and forth in the series, but it was definitely back and forth within the individual games. And so yeah, just talk to me about that. And then also, you guys had lost 2 straight series coming into this make or break lower bracket series. Talk to me a little bit about just kind of the mental, the get back from you guys, kind of putting back on a performance that we've seen from the locals all throughout season 8.
Yeah, it was a little hard to shake off. I mean, we lost our last 2, plus we had an off week in there, so no real chance to gain any momentum going in. And honestly, if you've watched last week's series and our series we've played before with Rebellion knows how to play us, and they come in. They are just pit bulls when they play. They love that physical game. They come in. They've got good mechs. So we knew they were not going to be easy, and we're definitely going to come at us. And thankfully, we weathered the storm at times. They definitely had a lot of pressure on us. The first 3 minutes of that game 4, it felt like we spent the entire time in our end. But it's the bend don't break philosophy, I suppose. We just weathered it, and then we finally would catch them on the counter.
Talk to me about Mecky Ducky, and I feel like I said this on stream that he kind of gets the spotlight of your team in a way, and of course he can't do what he can do without you guys. But talk to me about his pop-off, because of course we talked to him after the TA series as well, and he just felt pretty down and just not confident, and just was like, I can play so much better. And so what switched between the TA series and this series for him?
I mean, Ducky's Ducky. He's such a good player. I don't know if anything really switched. I mean, we all felt off against TA, and I don't say that to downplay their game plan. They played fantastically the last part of the season in the playoffs. They're having a good run, but I think we played a better team game this week. We definitely got a chance to open him up for chances a little more because of it. And you give that guy a chance, and he's going to bury a ton of them.
And so now, Doughboy, you guys are set with a date with your with Black Army, which is going to be a rematch of that last week of the season. Initial thoughts on that matchup? Maybe some changes you're looking forward to, or you don't want to leak any strats, but yeah, just a date with Black Army. What are you guys thinking?
I mean, obviously, the first thing is we got to come back and we've got to redeem ourselves from when we played them the last week of the regular season. Like they swept us and really put it to us. So we've got to figure out how to deal with their pressure. They're a very good team. They got some good mechanical players, but we're a good team, and we didn't play up to what we could against them. And so we've got to play like we did tonight. We know they're going to come at us. We know they're going to pressure us, and we've got to come with the game plan to counter that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Doughboy, thanks for joining us in the booth and giving us all that insight. I think I said before the stream, I think I actually in my head picked Rebellion, or maybe I said it out loud, but I was rooting for you guys, especially with our chats last night, and obviously you guys feeling more confident and definitely showing that confidence on the field today. Do you have any other shout outs before we let you go?
Shout out to any of the locals watching. Shout out to your hangover this morning. It must have been amazing. And as usual, shout out to the whole SGL crew for putting on the streams.
Yeah, Doughboy leaking a bit of our drop shot matches from last night, but that was KJ Doughboy from the locals, victorious tonight, a sweep of the Rebellion, and yeah, thank you for joining us, KJ. We'll talk hopefully after the BA series.
Awesome, thank you, fellas.
Just for the record, my hangover was fairly non-existent this morning, so I don't know what last night was great, but enough about me. But yeah, man, KJ is one of my favorite players in the league. Just talking to him last night, and of course, right in this interview too. Just man, what a character he is, and I'm so glad that locals were on the winning side of this game.
Yeah, indeed, KJ Doughboy, one of the better people we have in this league, and always love hearing from him and playing with him in our games that we do run. We were doing some drop shot games, so he's a big extra modes guy, and drop shot being the best extra mode is always fun to play. But speaking of more interviews, we do have Shorts from the Rebellion. Shorts 53 is going to keep to join us now, and there he is, Shorts. Bit of a rough series. You guys, your season comes to an end. Talk to me. I mean, it was a sweep, but like it didn't feel like a sweep. Yeah, just kind of the floor is yours. Just kind of talk to me about how the series went.
Yeah, it was tough. Considering never going back to a public park and feeding the ducks anymore, kind of a duck PTSD here. It's a depressing loss specifically because of that sweep aspect. Both of our series in the playoffs were sweeps, and we didn't feel like the score line reflected how we really played. In both matches, we had just really tough overtime losses, and that's kind of a thing that we need to focus on, because that's a real momentum turning point situation that we need to kind of figure out how to close games out in overtime. So it's really sad that it ended that way. We felt like we had a really good season, played well in the regular season, and we felt like we played well in the playoffs, but a couple things need to change. Just work on our play a little bit.
Talk to me a little bit about maybe you don't have to go into too specifics, but like the game plan, just as a whole over the course of the series. And we obviously know you guys as being a really physical team, and truthfully, I remember when we played you guys in the regular season, that's all you guys would do is just be physical and demo, and it honestly, it made me mad just because I'd never be on the field playing the game, because I'd be just up in smoke somewhere. But it felt like during that series, when you guys were more physical and were just like super aggressive, that you were able to apply a lot more pressure, and of course those pressure leads to chances in goals and stuff like that. I guess why, like, talk to me about like the game plan. Was that always the game plan? Did you guys kind of talk about that in the timeout of like, hey, we just need to be more aggressive? Like, what were the communications like?
Yeah, so it was always the game plan. We've thankfully been able to play the locals a few times, even taking it back to our first appearance in the tournament last postseason. And we kind of look back on what was successful, and it was the physical play. For us, there's kind of levels to it. We're always going to be a physical team. That's just really how our rotations work best, we feel. When we're getting up into the back lines, and you can kind of see it when we're absorbing too much pressure in the back, our rotations kind of get messed up, and that's something that we really need to work on. But when we're able to put the pressure on and get bumps and demos and take away the opponent's numbers in the offensive half, is when we have more space to operate, and we are able to operate well in that space. So that definitely was the game plan. We knew their play style, where Aquatic is kind of like a free roaming. He'll be in your back line, stealing your boost, bumping you, and Meki Ducky will also take on that role a little bit. And KJ will sit back a little bit. And through the first couple of games, we really noticed that getting Doughboy or Meki Ducky out of their rotation really messed up their natural flow and opened up a lot of spaces. So we tried to take advantage of that. And there were a lot of times where we did, but we were honestly just missing a piece to really take any of those games home.
Yeah, and I think throughout the series, it felt like y'all had just so many shots, like hit the post, were like a little wide, and typically when that happened, it just kind of resulted in a goal the other end. Given I think you guys like to send the house, and if it just doesn't work, it feels like it's just not going to be or it's going to be a goal on the other end. Excuse me. I think just talk to me about that. I mean, I feel like if y'all had just a little bit better shot efficiency, I mean, I feel like you guys could have scored a lot more goals, and then on the flip side, it would have resulted in a lot less of those breakaway goals down the other end for the locals.
Oh, of course, that's been the age-old tale for the three of us is post. Yeah, we do throw the house, but it's because we have a lot of trust in each other, and that's one of the ways that we're able to be successful when we are successful, is that we have that trust in each other to commit that one to the person to the bump, commit that one person to make the pass, and then the third goes in and takes a shot. Obviously that's everybody up front and nobody back, so you have to get a shot on net, a good shot on net. You have to get a good 50. So that's why our rotations really work best, because if we get that first man to make that bump and clear that space, it either leads to a bad 50 from their second guy coming into a net or a goal. So we really do need to be operating on full all cylinders to be able to make that work. And sometimes we were, sometimes we weren't. They're such a good team, the locals, that when we made those mistakes, I mean, Ducky's just putting it in the net. If he's in a 1v1, it's in your net. There's almost no way around it. And we kind of struggled in that sense. And I also think that there were a lot of times where defensively they made immaculate saves, and that prevented the floodgates from opening for us. There were a few times, I can even remember 2 times where Polar had amazing shots on net. They had amazing saves, and when you get those bounces your way, then the night's going to go your way. But when the opponent's making saves like that, it just kind of demoralizes you a little bit, and you just seem to can't not be able to find a way in. That's kind of how the night went.
Yeah, it is an unfortunate result, and to have your season in this way, but I agree with Luis, and we've said it on stream too. It just doesn't feel like a sweep, and especially even your round 1 match against EM, just didn't feel like a sweep. And I think that just proves that you guys are so close, right? If you just tweak, some of those, super small things, these series you're now winning games, and you're now flipping the script a little bit, especially with how momentum heavy Rocket League is. You get a game or two and it completely flips the other way. But Shorts, thanks for tuning in and joining us here in the booth and giving us your thoughts. But before we let you go, we want to just give you the floor.
Sure, yeah. Thank you to both of you, Rydog and Louise, for commentating the stream for us. Shout out to anybody that showed up to support us. Thank you to Maz producing on the back end. Yeah, so happy to be in the league. Very happy, very excited for our future in the league. And I hope everybody hits that follow button on the stream so you can see future matches, and hopefully no more rebellions getting swept.
Hell yeah, man! Thank you for being here, Shorts. And unfortunately, y'all's run this season does come to an end, but I really appreciate having you and the Rebellion join us here for season 8. It's been a real pleasure, and looking forward to y'all next season. And also just want to shout out Polar. Polar does stream, and if you guys want to go check him out, it's IT Polar. He he just got done doing like a 24-hour plus Valorant stream for like no reason. It wasn't a special event. He's a grinder. So
He's a grinder.
he's grinding the Valorant. So
Yeah, hit
appreciate
him
you
up.
guys.
Streams
Yeah.
are awesome.
Yeah, go follow him as well. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, that was Shorts from the Rebellion. Always good to catch up with him. Do we have any more commentary or any more commentary? Of course, we have more commentary. Do we have any more interviews? I see an exotic double cheeked up on a Sunday in the public chat. I think he might be joining us for an interview of the Steel Army Los Verdes series, and so let's see if we can drag him in here.
Oh, first we're gonna have Debit of
Debit's
Steel
here first.
Army. Yeah, we've got Accounting Brother here to talk about the first match that we had on our stream, which honestly seems like forever ago in Steel Army Los Verdes. Debit, my man, how we feeling? Good sweep.
It feels like forever ago. I do agree with that comment because honestly, that was a series. That's all I really gotta say about that one, at least off initial vibes. It was a series of all time.
Yeah, it's always interesting when we do these double headers and we have to wait for the interviews, and so it feels like you guys said like a long time ago. But yeah, just speak to me about y'all's series. I mean, what were your thoughts?
Honestly, I had no idea what to expect with LV coming in because I had no idea who they're gonna throw out, and I was honestly thrown off by all the asterisks that were on Cider's name there. So it was just throwing me off until I got the name check done for it. And then after we sort of like warmed up into the game, it kind of felt about normal. Like I know the first game was 1-0, but I feel like that was us just sort of warming up to the series, you know, getting used to Palace chasing everybody around. I definitely got done with a lot more in the series, but yeah, I think it was just building that comfort level at first, and then once we got into the groove, it just didn't stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, that game one was a little. It was interesting, right? There was one goal scored. Luis and I at least were saying that we were just expecting just an offensive onslaught. And of course, so that game one kind of threw us off, like, whoa, like 1-0, that's a little weird. And then, of course, you guys got warmed up in that second game, and then even scored even more in the third game. You were playing like Steve Nash tonight. Is that always the plan? Is that like new for Debit? I mean, we looked at the stats before. You were leading in a whole bunch of categories, but you were really playing Steve Nash tonight.
Yeah, I'm very sorry, but I'm not a basketball person.
Oh,
That
my
cares like.
goodness.
Give me a hockey name. Give me a baseball name. Give me a.
Gosh, I don't know. You had a lot of assists. You had a lot of assists tonight.
Yeah,
Spreading the love.
I wanted to take the role of Bear Bliss tonight. I wanted to be the one passing the entire time. Yeah, honestly, the way we're playing warm-ups, Red 4 was kind of killing it. He had a 5-goal game one of these games, and, you know, he just felt like attacking the ball today. So, honestly, I was like, you know what? I'll give it up. Them twos can chase, have the goals over here. I'll just play midfield cover and, set us up back for a rebound.
Yeah, and apart from not knowing who the two-time MVP Steve Nash is, how does this series kind of bode for you guys in terms of the overall Consolation tournament? I mean, how are you guys looking at it now with, I believe, 9 points? I think you guys are in the first spot there. So, yeah, just kind of talk to me about the rest of the tournament, and I assume you guys expect to be in those final 2 spots.
Second of all, I know the name. I'm not familiar with this game. But yeah, moving on. I think we were pretty confident coming into this Consolation tourney overall. I think we have KC was obviously our toughest test so far, and I think we do expect to see ourselves in that final 2 spots. But now that we've got 3 games down, this upcoming one is the most important one to come up. It's EC Blue. It's a team that other teams probably looked around and said, all right, either one of these 2 teams could probably start putting up a fight, to get into that last spot over there. And so I think that's where it's going to be critical, where we get a lot of business taken care of. I think every series has gone to plan so far, and now we just need to finish it off, and then we'll see ourselves through like we thought we would.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Debit, thanks for joining us in the booth. I'm gonna give you the floor if you want to do any shout outs. My accounting brother.
Shout outs to accounting itself. We're in month-end close right now, so I was online
Oof.
more than a standard 9 to 5 person.
I feel that.
So a little bit more hours. But no, shout outs to team putting up with my captain antics. Playing on a Tuesday night. Shout outs to the SGL crew. I know KJ mentioned already, but you guys put in a ton of work tonight and all these nights, especially Maz behind the scenes, putting all this production into the scenes. And shout out Steve Nash. We share a name, so I gotta shout you out too. Let's go, Steves. Yeah, that'll be it from me.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you, Debit, Steve Nash, Dallas Mavericks legend, Phoenix Suns legend, getting a shout out on the stream. Always love to see that, and I guess Lakers legend for that one season. But appreciate you joining us, Debit. Good, congratulations on the win, and yeah, we'll hopefully see you guys on the next broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Night, guys.
Good night, Debit. My
And,
accounting brother, I love it. I get it. The working longer than 9 to 5 for month close, I get it, man. It's a tough time, but it's all worth it when you sweep 3-0. So hope he's having a good night.
Yeah, and hopefully, for his sake, he doesn't go down the Steve Nash route of never winning a title. So hopefully this Consolation tournament will be Steel Army's first title, I believe, in SGL history. If Bear Blitz can correct me in chat. But speaking of titles, exotic double cheeked up known as Palace is going to be joining us. Palace, welcome to the stream. You
What's
guys had a bit of a rough series today, but I think there was honestly some bright spots. You saw the debut of Void Sky, Blue Sky on LV, and yeah, just kind of speak to me about y'all's series.
I'll be honest, I forgot we lost. It was fun. It was a good time. Yeah, vibes were at, I would say, a season high so far, or actually I would say season high, but definitely a playoff high, because it was fun having Sky back in the lineup.
Heck yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and maybe go into more detail of how you think he played. It sounds like it was his SGL Season 8 debut, and Luis and I were really impressed with how he played.
Yeah, so he hadn't played since the last time Arglass played, which if you guys are in the community, then y'all know who Arglass is, because he's a perennial lurker, but he's not been playing a lot recently. So, yeah, it's been a long time, but I remember him saying at the end of the season, he was like, oh shoot, I didn't even have Rocket League installed, and so if y'all need somebody, then I got y'all. So yeah, I made sure he knew today, and yeah, we got him in. I thought he did pretty well. You know, it's tough coming in after, you know, that long, especially against a team like that, and holding your own like he did. You know, even with the DC, still, I'm very you know, what's the word? Pleasantly surprised. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Rydog said, I thought he played really well, having I guess not played the game in a very long time. But yeah, I think it would have been interesting to see him, you, maybe even Devin, on the field together. I think that team is winning series in SGL, like almost for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I mean, obviously not the greatest start to the Consolation tournament for you guys. Yeah, just kind of where's your head at for the rest of the tournament, and kind of what are the goals?
The goal, I think, at this point is to have fun. You know, for me, I haven't really been playing a lot of Rocket League recently, And when I have, it hasn't been like the most fun. But after these last few days, last night was the first time like in a while that I felt really good, and then today as well. Having fun with the team. Just finding that love for it again. I think for me at least is the goal.
Heck yeah, yeah, I love that. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right? If it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's obviously it's better if you win, but it's all about having fun. And I obviously want to go back to your first comment about just the vibes being really good in the comms and stuff. I think that just bodes well, like moving forward. Of hey man, you guys just here to play Rocket League, have some fun, and if the game wins come, they come, and if not, it's okay because the vibes are high, and I appreciate that yeah, I appreciate hearing that from your perspective there, pal. So thanks. But yeah, do you before we let you go, do you have any other shout outs that you want to say to the people?
Shouts to Devin. Shouts to everybody else on LV. Trigger right now is in the midst of a move, and so obviously best of luck to him on that, because that's never easy, especially when you're moving cities as well. So much love to him, and shout out Eduardo, Sosa as always, Arglass. No, I'm kidding, not Arglass, but everybody else except for Arglass. Shout out to the whole team. Shout out to everybody in chat who's watching, and yeah, y'all have not seen the last of me, because I'm gonna be drippy with it real soon.
Well, hell yeah, man, and we really appreciate you joining us, even though it was cut a bit after y'all's series ended. So appreciate you joining us, Palace, and hopefully, hopefully we get to see some more Void Sky going forward. I thought he was really good. So
Yeah,
thank
for
you
sure.
thank you for
Also,
joining.
I just received a message from Devin, and he said he fell asleep, which that's what happened to me as well earlier today. We scheduled that game about an hour before it happened, because I fell asleep for like 4 hours after I got home from work, and thank goodness we got that scheduled. So yeah, shouts to Steel Army, SGL admin team, except for Luis, that guy stinks, and shout out Rydog. And
Yeah,
of course,
and of course he stinks in a very good way. He smells very good. So I
I
do
wouldn't say
appreciate
that.
I appreciate the
I
compliment
wouldn't
from
say that.
our guest here on stream. A supporter of good hygiene, which
You guys
is
ever smelled roadkill before?
something we really appreciate. And so yeah, thank you for Palace for joining us. We really appreciate it. As I disconnect him from our Discord, and so. Yeah, we don't tolerate that sort of behavior, but no. And all jokes aside, thank you for joining us, Palace, David. We always appreciate hearing from him. But that being said, I think that's all the interviews we have left. Right, dog. I think we're gonna look at some brackets and some standings.
Yeah, let's pull up the consolation one first, and just kind of go in order here of how we entered today. Of course, Steel Army, they're taking the sweep over Los Verdes, and they're going to propel themselves up to 9 points and put themselves in a really really good spot going into their final match played. Of course, there are 5 teams, 4 games, 1 bye, and so Steel Army has 1 more game left. And I think, of course, some of the other teams, as you can see, only have 1 match played. So we're not able to, do the math of if this team does what, this team does that, that kind of thing. But hopefully, pretty soon when these other matches get played, we can start doing those hypotheticals. And I know everybody loves to see that. So of course, congrats to Steel Army on getting the sweep and getting the 4 points. They look good. They're on top of the table. And of course for LV, unfortunate result, but like we heard from Palace, I think just having good vibes is just like the name of the game for them. And honestly, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you at the end of the day, the vibes and just having fun is the overall name of the game of our soccer supporters league we have here. So although the results aren't going their way, at least they're having some fun and keeping the vibes high. So always good to see there. And yeah, no surprises here from my end. The league table looks pretty standard of what I would expect. Still think KC are going to pull through for that number 1 spot, but yeah, so far Steel Army, 9 points in 3 games, looking very, very good.
Absolutely, and of course we'll see how the rest of these matches play out. Like you can see on your screen, some of the teams have only played 1 match, so it's of course hard to judge where they are really in the table when they aren't on the same matches played. But yeah, we have that, but then also we had our main card of the night in the Locals and the Rebellion series, and let's flip over to that playoff bracket, and it is updated with our results. So Luis, we have our top 4 in SGL Season 8. EM, Timbers Army, you and I love to see that, and of course we have Black Army and Locals there down in the losers round 2. So yeah, we've got the 4 best teams in the league, and I'm really excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, super excited to see how this plays out. Obviously, you and I, Dog, have a date set here in that winners final, but yeah, the lowers final as well is going to be tremendous. Again, I think the playoffs have been really good so far. I think even the couple of sweeps we see on the board here really don't do justice to just how good the playoffs have been. And again, those deadlines for both of those games are going to be December 11th. I know the EM TA series, as I mentioned on the past broadcast, probably going to end up being played between December 9th and the 11th, somewhere in that time frame. And then yeah, we'll see when the Black Army local series gets scheduled, and of course stay posted in the Discord. We will be bringing these 2 matches to you. We're down to our final 4 teams. Always exciting as you get towards the end of these brackets, and the stakes are even higher and the nerves are even greater. So looking forward to seeing how this bracket finishes. And yeah, I think for everybody in chat, make sure you hit the follow button, and make sure you stay tuned for what's going to be a really thrilling battle of these final 4 teams.
Absolutely, right now, and I do want to ask one more question of you, Luis. I'm not going to have you call our match because I think I know where you're going, and you probably know where I'm going. But that lower round 2 match, Locals Black Army, if you had to pick right now, who's winning that series?
Yeah, if I had to pick right now, I'm gonna be rolling with Black Army. I think they beat a really good ECRC team in pretty convincing fashion after falling down 2-0, and that team I think is full of really good vibes. And yeah, I'd probably go them in 5 or 6. But who knows? The Locals bounce back this tonight, and the only thing that kind of in my head that's swaying me is Meki Ducky in that series, which wasn't as good as he was in the series tonight, and so that'll have to be some sort of change they make, because in that last week of the season they got swept by Black Army and really didn't look anything like what we saw tonight. So yeah, I can't wait for that series to kind of see how both teams react to the previous series, and yeah, but if I had to pick, I'd go Black Army and probably 5 or 6.
Dang, yeah, and I thank you for not asking me what I thought, because I have absolutely no clue, and I think it's fairly similar to what I had actually originally from the this series tonight, Locals and Rebellion. Of I think if Meki Ducky's on his game and he's playing super well, super aggressive, super confident, I think Locals takes that series. But Black Army also looked really, really convincing in their win against ECRC, and honestly, they played pretty well against our team as well. I just think we had the aura on the day in that winners round 1 match. So definitely as a fan, thank you for tuning in for us the entire night. But that is one that you're gonna want to circle on your calendars when that gets scheduled. We obviously stay in tune in the Discord, because you're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be an insane series. Lots of storylines with Black Army's bounce back, with Meki Ducky's bounce back, and then of course for the Locals, the revenge series, right? They want to avenge that like 3-0 sweep from the last week of the regular season. So lots going on in our final 4 teams of SGL. But I think that is going to wrap up our stream tonight, everybody. Luis, do you have any final thoughts before we just officially call it for the night?
Yeah, think that should be it from me. We have MLS Cup this weekend. That'll be fun. Looking forward to that. I don't know if we're gonna have a broadcast, but between now and then, I think we probably will. But if we don't, make sure you tune into that. Always tough seeing I think the best player in the game not be there in Ricky Puig. So, but other than that, that's about it for me, Ride Dog. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate Maz streaming and yeah, well, from me, I guess we'll see everybody on the next broadcast.
Absolutely, yes. And once again, chat, thank you so much for tuning in and staying with us this whole time. We had two pretty fast series in the grand scheme of things, two sweeps here tonight. Congrats again to Seal Army and Locals for their wins tonight. But for Luis, for Maz behind the scenes, I'm Rydog. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.